Before we start going into the biology of the mutated animals and humans, let me give you a quick overview of this movie. So the movie starts at Area X, a government facility on the southern coast of the US. Lena, a cellular biology professor and former soldier, is in quarantine. She undergoes a debriefing about a 4-month expedition into an anomalous iridescent electromagnetic field dubbed the Shimmer, of which she and her husband Kane are the only survivors. In flashback, Kane, an Army Special Forces soldier, appears in their home after having disappeared on a mission nearly a year ago. He remembers nothing of that time and suddenly falls very ill. A government security force intercepts Kane's ambulance and transports him and Lena to Area X, near where the Shimmer had begun to spread 3 years earlier. A psychologist, Dr. Ventress, explains that military teams, including Kane's, have ventured into the Shimmer to attempt to reach the lighthouse where the phenomenon first appeared. Kane is the only person to have ever returned from an expedition. Lena volunteers to join Ventress on a research expedition consisting of 2 scientists, Josie and Cassie, and a paramedic, Anya. On the expedition, guidance technology fails. The expedition members realize they are unable to remember extended stretches of time, and a mutated crocodile attacks Josie. The team rescues Josie and learns that the crocodile shows signs of being hybridized with a shark. At an abandoned military base, the team discovers evidence of Kane's expedition along with a memory card left for them. A video on the card shows Kane cutting open the stomach of a fellow expedition member while he was still alive, revealing that his intestines have begun to wriggle in a snake-like manner. That night, the base's perimeter fence is torn open, prompting the expedition to investigate. Suddenly, a mutated bear drags Cassie away. The following morning, the team finds one of her boots containing her shorn ankle and foot. Lena searches further alone and discovers Cassie's mutilated corpse. As the team continues toward the lighthouse at the center of the Shimmer, they find a decayed settlement with human-shaped plants outside it. Josie says she thinks the Shimmer is acting on organisms in the manner of a prism, distorting and refracting DNA in the same way that a prism refracts light. The expedition members realize they are slowly changing as well. That night, Anya descends into a psychotic state, attacking and restraining the other team members. As she is threatening them, Anya hears what sounds like Cassie crying for help outside and investigates. The same bear that killed Cassie enters the house, its roar imitating Cassie's screams. It kills Anya and attacks Lena before Josie shoots it dead. Ventress leaves Lena and Josie behind and sets out to complete the journey while she still can. Josie muses that she doesn't want to continue and begins to grow flowers from her body. She walks away from Lena and disappears among the human-shaped plants. Lena reaches the lighthouse and goes inside, finding an incinerated corpse, a video camera, and a hole in the floor. Footage on the camera shows Kane ranting about the Shimmer's effects on him. He urges the cameraman to find Lena, then commits suicide with a white phosphorus grenade, after which his doppelganger walks into view. Lena descends into the hole in the floor and finds Ventress, who has also begun to mutate. She disintegrates into a fiery, nebulous structure that absorbs a drop of blood from Lena's face and creates a humanoid being. Lena tricks the humanoid, which has been mirroring her movements, into burning itself alive with one of the phosphorus grenades. The blazing being sets the rest of the lighthouse ablaze, and the flames spread to engulf the various other constructs of the Shimmer, causing them to collapse as burning embers and the Shimmer to dissipate into nothingness. Lena is sent back to Area X, where she is quarantined and debriefed about the Shimmer in front of a battery of observing doctors. Lena surmises that the Shimmer was not necessarily aiming to destroy Earth, but was instead making something new, although Lena was unsure what it was making. She is brought to Kane, who recovered rapidly when the Shimmer ceased to exist. She asks him if he is the real Kane, to which he replies, "I don't think so." He asks her if she is Lena, but she does not answer him. Kane's doppelganger and Lena embrace, and their irises shift colors. We saw some very interesting things, but the thing that terrified me the most was the mutated bear. The bear initially is shown to stalk the group while they rested at Fort Amaya. It tore open a hole in the fencing perimeter before swiftly grabbing Cass Shepard, dragging her away from the group while she screamed for help. Interestingly, while Lena found the grisly remains of Cass in the morning after, the bear didn't outright eat her, possibly leaving her body as a warning for the group. While Anya began interrogating her teammates, the weak, croaked calls of "help me" distracted Anya, as if Cass somehow miraculously survived such an attack. However, the bear was the source of the calls, which he heralded with an ever so familiar bellow. While it circled around the bound trio, it seemed to constantly fill the air with bellows and the dying cries of Cass screaming "help me" as to instigate a reaction from the trio. It went as far as to stare down Ventress before clamping onto her shoulder as to break her before it could further torment Ventress. Alerted by Anya firing away, it was quickly dealt with by ripping her jaw and throat apart. Before it could give the same treatment to the survivors, Josie was swift to gun it down, ripping its skull apart with a hail of bullets. This mutant bear seems to be an American black bear, although it was slightly larger than its non-mutated brethren. When Lena's team is ambushed by the bear seems to retain its pre-mutated form save for patches of skin showing around its neck and head where its fur had withered away. When the bear reappears during Anya's interrogation of her teammates and torments the group, it's keen to note that it became more heavily mutated since they first made contact. Its body is largely unaffected to less of a degree, but the skull of the bear is now visible, showing the lack of flesh on the bear's skull. Also, the bear's nose has also withered away, leaving the nasal cavity open. However, the bear has a human skull embedded into its own. Human teeth are seen inside of the bear's mouth as a second row, while still retaining its own set. What first stands out about this bear is its horrific design. It's primarily hairless with skin rotting off, different rows of teeth, a human skull assimilated into the right of its head with other abnormal and horrific features. It gets underneath your skin on a pure base level and hits some pathological response. We all know what a bear looks like, but the horrific twist and perversion of the creature make it horrible. It's not a normal bear, it's awful in a way we cannot describe. It looks and acts like a bear, but can it be called a bear anymore? Outside of the physical appearance lies the genetic horror. Like other living things in the Shimmer, the bear has become mutated and its DNA has become modified and assimilated with other creatures. One element, the human skull, is not simply attached, but became genetically entangled with the bear. The DNA between the species exists as an assortment where the original DNA no longer exists. The bear no longer exists as solely a bear, but as a monstrous version of the original. What's even more horrific is that the mutation has not even ended for the bear. If it were not killed, then it would have mutated further. With the idea of mutation comes the death of Cassie and her fate. Instead of simply dying, she becomes a part of the bear in some aspect due to it accessing her screams. Also, this informs the loss of self for Cassie since she becomes an extension of the bear in some capacity. She lives on in a very messed up and threatening manner. She's no longer Cassie, but a part of its DNA. We also got to see a mutated alligator in some scenes. It first attacks the group by swiftly dragging Josie away, although not outright killing her as it had grabbed onto her bag before letting go. While the group reunited with each other, the alligator went to attack the group again, going for a second attempt to make a meal of anyone. However, before it managed to deal any serious damage, Lena was swift to fill it with lead, killing the alligator outright. From the outside, this mutant alligator still retains its overall body structure, save for a lack of pigmentation and various cuts and lesions that covered its hide. However, its mouth and throat are lined with shark teeth, signifying that the alligator's DNA had been intertwined with shark DNA. So let's move on to the science of what's happening to the plants and animals inside the Hex. The simple explanation for what's happening inside the Shimmer comes down to the influence of an alien entity. Whether it's malevolent or simply acting on survival instinct is unclear, but its twisted impact on the surrounding environment is broadly on display. The more complicated explanation involves the manipulation of a small but important part of DNA known as Hox genes. Inside the Shimmer, DNA, mutation, and evolution go hog wild, resulting in some truly alien creatures built on the blueprints of ordinary, earthly plants and animals. It comes to a head when Lena and the rest of the crew encounter a set of plants taking the shape of humans. There's no denying that they are forming the silhouettes of people, and the eerie uncertainty underlying that behavior is spine-tingling. Are they plants simply mimicking a human shape, or are they the mutated remains of a previous expedition? Whatever their origin, Tessa Thompson's character, Josie, speculates that changes in the Hox genes are responsible. In the real world, Hox genes play a crucial role in the construction of the body, and meddling with them ends with interesting and often horrifying results. If your DNA is the detailed blueprint for your entire body, the Hox genes are the foundation and the framing. They lay out the body plan, telling everything where it should be and what it should be. It's how your body knows where to put the head, trunks, arms, legs, eyes, fingers, toes, and everything else. The Hox genes lay out the thumbnail sketch of your body, then other genes come in to fill in the details. If an alien entity, or laboratory scientists, tinker with the Hox genes, they can get plants and animals to do all kinds of weird things, some of which is the stuff of horror movies. Fruit flies, for example, begin life as segmented larvae. As they develop, the Hox genes tell the body not only how many segments to make, but what each segment should do as it grows. In a normal fruit fly, segments in the middle grow legs and wings, while segments at the front grow eyes, antennae, and mouth parts. If there are mutations in the Hox genes, however, then fruit flies grow appendages in all the wrong places. Scientists have observed fruit flies, either through natural or directed mutation, growing only 2 sets of legs and an extra pair of wings, or growing legs out of their faces, where mouth parts or antennae should be. The situation is a little different in vertebrates, like us, but we are still segmented creatures laid out stem to stern. Hox genes tell our vertebrae if they should grow ribs or not. They tell your arms and legs where they should go and whether to be an arm or a leg. In lab experiments with mice, mutations in the Hox genes can cause distinct changes in limb formation. In humans, limb deformity has also been associated with differences in Hox genes. There's still a lot we don't know about Hox genes and how they express themselves in our bodies, but one thing is certain: if you encounter a biome that turns your Hox genes on and off, swapping them with other organisms, you should run. So yeah, that's all for this video, and thanks for watching.